now one wants to go back,
Right, that's the one I'm talking about.
and I just don't think they're a good group to be messing with in the future.
Uh-huh. It's just different,
It is,
right?
yes. Does Annie graduate this year?
No, she's a freshman, New Trick.
Okay, she's a freshman.
So she's over at the campus creating problems. Well, I see Pearson all over Instagram.
Yes, I hope she gets a degree in something other than sailboating.
Great. Yeah. Okay, let's call this meeting to order. This is the Village of Northfield Committee of the Whole. It is Tuesday, April 16th. It's 5:30. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Fowler.
Here.
Trustee Dunges.
Here.
Trustee Whitaker.
Here.
Trustee Gallen.
Here.
Trustee Mendrick. Here. Trustee Orth.
Here.
Thank you. We have the honor of having our next village manager here, Patrick Brennan. I hope everybody had a chance to meet him. I also want to thank three of our businesses in town that were kind enough to provide some food. It's Three Tarts, Hat-Bin, and Taco Nano. Thank you very much. It's delicious. With that, public comment. Any public business? Any comment from the public?
I just had oral surgery, so I can barely talk. Carol Ritchell, 811 Hap. This is just a follow-up on the letters, whatever, that I gave you guys last week as far as urging, a letter urging you to select the planting option for the center of the fountain. In any case, what I said last time, people had made copies, things were floating around, so people gave me several more pages, so there's 39 additional signatures, just, again, asking you folks to choose the fountain, I can't talk, sorry, the planter. Thank you, I'm sorry. I'm going to give these to Holly, okay? Is that okay?
Great.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the March 19th, 2024 Committee of the Whole report of proceedings?
So moved.
Second.
Voice or is it? Roll call, great. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fowler.
Yes.
Trustee Dunges.
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker.
Yes.
Trustee Gallen.
Yes.
Trustee Mendrick.
Yes.
Trustee Orth.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Holly. Next, we have Ann Peterson with Go Green Northfield. Give a little presentation today. Ann, good to see you. Ann is one of our commissioners also on P&Z, so you're busy.
Not yet.
Thanks for being here, Ann.
Wasn't sure if I could see that without my glasses, but okay, I can. I just wanted to thank you so much for allowing me to present tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity. And I'll reintroduce myself, Ann Peterson from Go Green Northfield. I know that you all have been aware of our group for a long time and maybe worked closely in some things. But I'm going to kind of approach this a little bit as if you don't know us, just to make sure I cover all the bases. And if you have any questions at any time, just yell them out. I think that's okay to do in this forum. Okay. Working with our community toward a more sustainable future. That's kind of our motto every day. It's important to us to work with our residents, our businesses, our leadership toward a mutual goal. And we strive to do that every day, no matter what we're doing. We want to collaborate in every way. We want to work together and feel like, you know, the village is one team working towards the same thing. I set this presentation up sort of, when I was thinking about setting it up, I was like, what are the most common questions that they might ask? And I sort of set it up that way. So the first one I thought you would ask is, I pressed the middle one?
Should be the arrow,
Yeah, the middle button.
the progressing arrow.
That's what I'm doing. Now I'm pressing both. There we go. I first thought you would ask, who are you? Because this is what I ask myself every morning when I wake up. Our mission statement is to raise environmental awareness and inspire our neighbors to actively engage in creating a more sustainable and resilient community. We started around 2012 as part of Go Green Winnetka. It was Go Green Winnetka Northfield. And after a few years with them, we realized that since we didn't share the lakefront and we didn't share the same common waste hauler, our needs were very different. And so around 2016, we branched off into Go Green Northfield. And I think actually Sandy Richardson, who was our past leader, put in a call to Melissa and said, I'm thinking about doing this on my own. Do you know of anyone else who might be interested? This is correct, right? Yeah. And Melissa helped her out and connected her with some people, and Sandy Richardson started the group. And when I think about why I joined the group, because I think I joined about like 5-ish years ago. I'm going to tell a little story that's going to seem unrelated, but it's going to circle around in the end, okay? When my kids went off to college, I told them there's only 4 things that you need to know in order to be successful in college. And it's not knowing how to make ramen or work the washing machine, okay? It's how to budget your money, how to manage your time, how to take care of yourself, and how to take care of other people. And those are the 4 things you need to know. And those are the tenets that I always live myself. That's what my parents taught me. And when I heard about this group, I realized that this was a group of people who deeply wanted to take care of themselves and each other and their community. And that's what really drew me to this group. I understood that this was a diverse, a passionate, knowledgeable, skilled, invested group of people. And I just want to drill down on that a little bit quickly. We encompass all genders. We have all generations practically. We're Gen X, we're baby boomers, we're millennials. We even are Gen Z. We had a 23-year-old join our group until she just got her first job in Wisconsin. But she was amazing for those first few meetings. We are filled with people who are working full-time, who are working part-time, who are retired, who are stay-at-home parents. We really feel like we're a good representation of this community. We are a good slice of the pie. And so we have a broad perspective and we understand a lot of different angles. We're passionate. We feel very strongly about our mission. We devote much of our time and energy every day to supporting this work. We're knowledgeable and we're skilled. Within our group, we include a certified master gardener and tree keeper. We have a person who works on legislative issues at the state and federal level. We have grant writers. We have skilled researchers. We have scientists and academics that hold advanced degrees. And then there's me, who are none of those things. But what I'm good at is focusing all those people towards the mission and organizing everyone towards the goal. We know how to fully explore concepts and develop solutions collaboratively. We're incredibly good at it. We're very invested, similar to all of you on the board. You know, making our community better is our top priority. We explore every way we can to be better all the time. And that really drives everything that we do. And at no time, past or present, has anyone in our group stood to gain financially from anything that we've done. We often invest our own money in our initiatives, and everything we do comes from wanting to make Northfield better. Any questions so far? Don't want to barrel ahead too quickly. Okay.
Ann, I got a question.
Yes.
If you don't mind. How big is the group?
Oh, we're about we're small but mighty, okay? I would say we're like 6 or 7 people, and we meet monthly, 6 weekly, and come together and just kind of brainstorm and understand, you know, what we can do, what we want to do, what other people want us to do, and how we can achieve any goal anybody has, really.
Is it open if I send you a message?
Oh, sure.
and
Oh, my
said-
God, yes.
Okay, great.
Of course.
If I sent you a message, I can imagine you meet at somebody's house or,
We meet actually in the Park District boardroom.
great.
Yeah, absolutely. Always open, always open. Yes, please come.
I will.
Okay.
And how often do you guys meet?
About every month, sometimes every 5-6 weeks, depending on people's availability.
It is a certain date and time, or how do you find out when the meeting is?
No, we usually have to send out a doodle and decide when everyone's free.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, everyone is busy and making time for this group in their regular lives. So it's a priority for people in our group. We make it happen. But if you like, I can let you know when the next meeting is. Okay, so the next question, I would imagine, why are you doing this? Which is also something I often ask myself. As I said, we're deeply devoted to our community. Everything we do is geared towards making our community better. I'm not sure why it's going on its own. That was not intended. Okay, I'm not doing it either. Okay, I don't usually read slides, but I think these are important. And, you know, there's a lot to worry about in the world. Melting glaciers, climate change, but sometimes that can seem very broad and overwhelming. And so I really tried to focus on the things that I think specifically affect Northfield residents, okay? Illinois generates approximately 19 million tons of garbage a year, 23% more than the average US state, and is the 8th largest emitter of landfill methane in the country. And at the average current disposal rate, Illinois landfills have a life expectancy of approximately 19 more years. Our landfills are filling up. They are finite. There's a little bit of variability in there because we have 96 landfills in Illinois, and so it depends how quickly they fill up, and sometimes things get shifted around. But it's real, and it's a threat, and it's something that Northfield's going to have to deal with. If you'll remember, 2013, China warned us that they were no longer going to accept our garbage. We did nothing about it as a nation. 2018 came, and they said, that's it, we're stopping. And so now we have a huge waste problem in this country, but as you can see, it directly affects Illinois residents and Northfield residents. And just a quick thing, if you don't know about methane, it's 80 times more potent in global warming potential than carbon dioxide. It's the methane plumes that come from our landfills in Illinois can be detected by satellites. And it is very quickly becoming a very serious problem. In 2023, Cook County's air quality received a C rating for particle pollution and an F for high ozone days, otherwise known as smog. So air quality affects elderly and children the most, and people with lung conditions and diseases like asthma. According to the Illinois EPA, there were 24 days in 2021 when air quality in Illinois was considered unhealthy, and that was up from 21 days in 2020. So this is continuing to go up. Some of those days were attributed to the fires and smoke, if you remember those days. I don't know if you remember, but those air quality concerns are real. More than 22 million pounds of plastic enter the Great Lakes every year. Lake Michigan bears the brunt with amounts equal to 100 Olympic-sized pools of plastic being dumped every single year. That's 11 million pounds of plastic that enter the Great Lakes, that enter just Lake Michigan. Just Lake Michigan, 11 million pounds every year. We've all heard of microplastics and nanoplastics. These enter our drinking water, and the current setup for water filtration systems, it's very difficult to get them out. We ingest them, and nanoplastics can cross the blood-brain barrier. That's a very real threat. It's a real health threat. This is our drinking water we're talking about. Climate change has altered Illinois' USDA plant hardiness zone from 5 to 6. Increased occurrences of severe weather is steadily raising the average temperature of Lake Michigan and triggering droughts across much of the Midwest. So we all know that these 100-year storms we're getting a few times a year now. Even the 500-year storms we've gotten. This is real. It affects property values, and it affects food sources in the Midwest. When you calculate each home's average amount of electricity used to cool, natural gas to heat and cook with, miles driven in gas-powered cars, travel taken, and food, clothing, and other goods purchased, Northfield clocks in with one of the highest rates of CO2 emissions on the planet, generating more than 7 times as much as the global average on a per capita basis. Nationally, we're 2 times the average. And this data point is achieved by using a carbon footprint calculator. And so you enter information like how many trips does the average person take? How much are they driving their car? How much, Amazon packages are they ordering? How are they cooking? This type of thing. And as you can assume, affluent communities have a much higher carbon footprint than non-affluent communities. So as you can see, this is not abstract. These are things that directly affect Northfield residents. And so that's what really drives our work. We want people to understand their impact, and we want to help them shrink their carbon footprint, essentially, with different ways that are very easy to do at home. Any questions on that data? Okay, good to go. Okay, next question I thought you might ask. What are you doing here? Which is another daily question. Okay. We are engaging our community. That's what we like to do the best, and that's what I think we're the best at. And I also want to recognize here your role in a lot of the things that we do. I know that you write the checks for many of these initiatives, like our collection events with the Park District. And we're so appreciative because obviously I said we have no budget, we have no money. We do everything without any income. And we're so grateful for the role that you play in the success of our events. So really quickly, We've created the recycling events like pumpkins, holiday lights, election signs, candy wrappers. We promote curbside composting, increasing subscribers to 24 to almost 100. And I just have to recognize Melissa again because she's such a star and she's pushing this boulder uphill through the village social media. And I think that, you know, while that is a valiant effort, it can only go so far. And if we're really going to get the residents to understand the impact that they can make just through composting, we're going to need more than social media. So we would love to partner on that message. Responding to requests from local organizations, we are working with the Girl Scouts next week. We've presented to both garden clubs. We were asked to be present at the New Trier Democrats environmental event just last week. People are finding value in what we do and are asking us to be present and help them. Let's see, we're working with District 29. We've piloted a composting program at Middle Fork this year since January, which has been incredibly successful. The kids, there was some worry about the effort it would take to get the kids to do this. They literally got it in a week. They needed no direction after a week. They were so engaged, so enthusiastic, all helping to make it happen. It was like the best thing that ever happened to them for a while. And it's been a really incredible experience to watch that develop. We also support their green clubs. The Middle Fork School has the Green Guardians. This is just like the cutest thing I've ever heard. And Sunset Ridge has the Green Club. And what we do is we try to fully understand their initiatives and support their success, right? So sometimes they just need connections, or sometimes they need ideas, or sometimes they need woman power. And so we provide whatever they need. We provide in-school programming. We're going to be in Earth Week. We're going to be in Middle Fork School doing a composting jar program, making composting jars to take home and doing compost bingo. And we've also advised the school on horticultural issues, like they're planting this tree to commemorate their 100-year anniversary, and we've kind of advised them on how best to do that, keeping the cicadas in mind and the rough, watering situation that they have. We're partnering with New Trier. We're a member of their sustainability committee, so we meet regularly with New Trier to be updated on their initiatives. And we promote their student-led club, Binary Heart, which is, if you don't know, it's a group of students who collect computers, hardware, laptops, tablets, and they refurbish them on their own, and then they wipe them, refurbish them, and then they donate them to underserved communities and underserved schools in Chicagoland. We've collaborated with the Northfield Park District on their landscaping questions, mostly regarding a terrible, terrible weed called lesser celandine that's all over the village, and we should really get on top of it before it kills everything.
Can you say that again? What was that?
Lesser celandine. I see it all over the village. It's a little, like, yellow buttercup-looking flower. It's like a very low-growth ground cover.
Highly invasive, yeah.
Very invasive, and it will kill everything in its path.
It's amazing. Right now, you see it
Your
in wild
plants,
areas.
your yard, it's everywhere, and people don't know about it. And we're trying so hard to inform people, and that they need to dig it out as soon as they see it, and it will kill their entire yards.
Yeah.
So we would love to partner on that message.
No, this is a major problem in my wild area, in my own yard.
Yes.
I don't want to use chemicals.
No.
But getting them
Well,
out.
the only thing, if you have a huge area of it, the only thing that will kill it is Roundup, which is cancer-causing chemical.
Right.
And so it's important to try to dig it up. But otherwise, yeah, you have to use Roundup. It's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible, evil plant.
Yeah, it's a serious problem.
Yes,
It's very-
it is, yeah.
Because you try to dig it up, and if you leave a couple of root parts in there, then you've got 3 plants.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
so
It comes from there's a little bulb. You have to get the bulb up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
So we spent our weekend dealing with it.
Yeah, it's really
Made
bad.
no progress, but my wife actually went to one of the local garden centers and they said, pulling it is the worst thing you can do.
You have to-
dig it.
you have to dig it.
And if you can't dig it, they've got another, it was not Roundup, it was another
Natural problem.
natural remedy.
Okay.
And
Stuff is tough. It's really
yeah,
hard.
it's,
We'll try it.
yeah, we
try
tried
it.
it. I'll let you know the results.
Yeah, do.
Yes.
Because I think it's, I mean, walking around the village,
Don't walk past my house.
okay.
Unless you want to stop and help a pole.
All right, I got my own problems. Okay, so we can partner over that initiative too. We publish a monthly sustainability newsletter with over 200 subscribers. I'm really proud of that. We started with 39 people on our mailing list only like 8 months ago, and we're up to 200, and every one of those names is hard fought. We get so much good feedback over this newsletter. Some of the contents of our newsletter has been published on the Go Green Illinois website. And so it's something that we're really, really proud of, and we think really serves the community, not only Northfield, but beyond. I don't know if anybody subscribes. I know Matt does. And because I'm always hustling, I got to sign up here, okay? and okay? All right, okay. Thank you. Please print, because I get it home and I'm like, I don't know what the heck that says, okay? We engage on social media with a combined 900 followers. We have studied how social media, how people engage with social media, so we work really hard to cater our content to like bring people in, and then we use our newsletter to inform people. We have found, just FYI, like a way better engagement level on Instagram than we do on Facebook, just FYI, in case you're interested for yourself.
I follow you, it's awesome.
Oh, good, okay.
Facebook's really good.
Oh, good, okay. We give away 50 tree saplings each summer through the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. They help us out. We host bike repair events. Last year, we hosted a pop-up, and it was so successful that this year we're holding a 2-day event in May 4th through 5th, where you can come and you make an appointment, come and bring your bike to be repaired and learn a little bit about bikeability in Northfield. We educate residents on green topics at our weekly market and music tables. We try to make them fun, engaging. We bring the kids in. We like to be next to the library because they got a bubble machine. Sometimes we have our giveaways, but we found that that's a great opportunity to engage with the community. We really, really like those events.
And have you thought about partnering with District 37 of Avoca for the people that live east of Northfield Road?
No, I haven't reached out to them.
That school area would also
Yeah.
get all the kids in Northfield involved with, with your program and plan and education and stuff.
Yeah, we'd be
So
super into it. Yeah, I will, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And we've been meeting with local businesses and owners to discuss their sustainability goals. So we've met with a few a few restaurants, and they are very interested in composting services. And so I just hooked up with the guy who owns the mall that Three Tarts and Half Bin is in. I hooked up with him out there in the foyer, and he is very jazzed by it too. So we would really like our restaurants to, within like 3 years, to be composting. It makes a huge difference. And we talked about landfills. It is a marginal cost with a little bit of effort, but a huge, huge impact. So that's one of our long-term goals. Any questions, again, on anything we're doing?
I got a couple comments. One is,
Okay.
I noticed I think you probably had input, great choice for that the tree, that anniversary tree.
Yes,
that,
we
swamp
advised
oak.
on the type of tree to buy.
Yeah, that's a swamp oak, and
Yeah.
it's the kind of tree that is a native plant that would have
Yep.
been all throughout this area, so good choice. It's,
Thank you.
yeah, and the other thing is, interested in your composting efforts. First of all, it's great. You're making a lot of efforts there, but the cafeteria at 29. So what do kids, they separate stuff that's compostable?
Yes.
They
Yes.
scrape kind of? Is that what you're talking about? I love that.
They separate, and they started recycling this year too, which they didn't really do before. And so they separate their recycling juice boxes and water bottles. Then they put their compostables into a different container, and off they go. And then they put their landfill garbage in one, like plastic straw wrappers or something else. But it's very streamlined. It's very easy. It's very clean. And the kids are very, very enthusiastic
So
about
many
it.
benefits too, and you think about it, starting kids early, it's kind of a cultural thing. I mean, once you start doing that,
It's no big deal to them. And when we talk about composting to other people, it's always the adults who are like, oh, it's gross, and I can't possibly do it. But kids are like, sure. And within a week, I'm telling you, no problems, got it, no,
It's great.
No mistakes. It's been a really incredible experience.
Love it.
Thanks. Okay,
I'm progressing it.
okay, go ahead. Okay, so then your next question would be, how can we work together? And we came up with some ideas, okay? And you can tell me if you already do some of these things. Don't be afraid to say, we already do that, Ann, you didn't know that, okay? But I know that you were one of the first, if not the first, village to engage in the Greenest Region Compact. Which
Can confirm.
Okay. Yes. And that's an incredible achievement. And I would love to revisit it at least annually. I mean, maybe even twice a year would be fun to just see where we are. What can we do? What can Go Green Northfield help you do? Let's not forget that document exists. We would love to create a recognition program to celebrate sustainability efforts by local businesses. We think that would be really fun, and we would love to have that be like a village initiative. We thought you could reduce vehicle stickers for EVs, maybe just like $5, and this is a little bit of an incentive, and it also allows you to track how many people in the village are driving EVs. And that gives you a little bit of insight into what matters to whom. We would love to think about more bike racks around town, maybe promoting some bikeability. We also have this thing we've been working on. We've been in contact with the village, with the library, with the senior center, trying to find a place where we could put some permanent recycling bins that would collect hard-to-recycle items. Maybe you've seen these at other libraries, like the Northfield Library has great permanent bins. And we're trying to brainstorm on how to make that happen here. And we've been calling a lot of different people, a lot of different libraries that already have these things, and learning about how they handle the things that they collect. So we have a lot of information on that if that's of interest. We were thinking about dedicating Public Works as a drop-off site for black styrofoam recycling. So black styrofoam is plastic, and it's very toxic in the landfill because it breaks down so easily into those little pieces, but not totally, obviously. It turns into microplastics. And I know other Public Works in the general area accept black styrofoam. And I think there's opportunity for us to help process what is collected, but I would love a conversation about somehow dedicating some place where residents could drop that off, because right now they just throw it in their dumpsters, or they try to put it in the recycling and it's not recyclable on your curbside. So then it messes up all their recycling and that all gets thrown out. It's a real thorn. anti-idling guidelines for public vehicles and an awareness program. When you idle, you create like a carbon dioxide dome, particularly around schools or drop-off areas by like the Park District when people line up to drop off or pick up their kids. We would love to engage on an awareness program. ComEd's hourly pricing program, that's a way that people save money, but it also creates awareness. Creates awareness of how you're using energy, at what time you're using energy, how much energy you're using. It's like a gateway. It's like a gateway drug into sustainability. Help us promote composting services. Help Melissa, who's like such a wonderful partner, promote composting services. She's doing this uphill battle. Schedule all public buildings for energy efficiency audits. You might already do this. Yeah, okay. And we would love a sustainability survey. We would love to understand. We are busting it to talk to residents and understand what their feelings are about sustainability. And we just think a survey would be super comprehensive. We actually have people in Go Green Northfield who can write the survey. I mean, obviously, like with your vetting, very close vetting, but we could take care of that step of it, so that wouldn't have to be any of your responsibility. So those are sort of like, I don't know, I'm thinking like maybe some light goals, some really achievable stuff. Okay, next slide. And then you're like, ooh, that sounds good. What else do you want to do? So this is when I threw out like the stretch goals, okay? So we love Waste Management because they provide composting services, right? But they only provide it to us seasonally. And I understand why, as Melissa has explained many times, because we're not a big enough account. But that's really a difficult sticking point for people because they are like, well, we'll only be able to do it a little bit of the year or whatever. And so I'm just, is there a way to renegotiate that? Is there a way to explore other options? I don't fully, I know there's some aspects of the composting situation or the waste hauling situation that I don't understand and want to learn more about. So I would like to meet with someone to learn more about that. But I thought I just wanted to put that in your ear as far as, what people say that they want. Revisiting regulating gas-powered leaf blowers. This is nuanced. While I do wish that you guys had been part of the study, I understand and think it was the right decision to not do anything right away. And learn from what was happening in other towns. I know that Evanston is thinking about rolling back their total leaf blower ban because of the effect it's had on the landscaping crews. And so I think there's a lot to learn there, but I also think that there's an opportunity for education, and that's usually the place to start before you just do, this very sort of extreme action. And we would like to be involved in that education. So I'd love just more conversations about it. A styrofoam food container restriction for the restaurants would be amazing. I think actually most of them don't really use styrofoam, but you never know who's gonna, we're gonna have an empty space at a Rocky Mountain Chocolate Company, so you don't know who's going in there, and we would love to just wipe styrofoam off the map. Continue to search for ways you can engage in green power purchases, like electricity aggregation, solar adoption. The community solar is a fabulous initiative. I think, as I remember, when the guy was making his presentation, that it's like an average of 3 to 5% residents engage in it. I don't know what our numbers are, but so while I think that's another like nice gateway drug, I think there's other things that can have a bigger impact that maybe we could talk about. EV charging stations in public lots. That's a stretch goal. That costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of effort. But I think it's something to keep in mind as we, sort of develop our business district and make these wonderful plans for new businesses to come in and understand parking situations and understanding the roundabout and all that stuff. Just keeping it, in the back of your mind. Would really love to see an environmental commission that would meet, like you guys need another committee to be on. But it would be nice to have an environmental commission to monitor progress of green initiatives. And maybe thinking about hiring a sustainability coordinator. A lot of villages and organizations share one. Like Park District, School, Village share one person, and that person works for all of those a little bit part-time. It's just something to keep in mind. I think it's a really good opportunity. And I think that these job descriptions are just getting hired now, so there's a real opportunity to learn from what other villages are doing. So that's a lot. I tend to talk a lot. I probably talked way too much, and I apologize for that, but that's kind of my MO, to go over my time. But is there any other questions that I can answer for anybody, or suggestions I can take from anyone? I always love to hear it.
Did you want this in the audience for sign-up?
Oh, yeah, totally. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else hustling? Want to get to 201. Okay, well, again, I really, really appreciate the opportunity. And if there's anything, that comes to mind, I think you know where to find me. Oh, Todd.
Yeah, just one thing on the bikeability stuff that
Yeah.
you're working on. We are going to have such a tremendous opportunity with the Skokie Valley Trail
Yeah.
to be sort of the hub for a lot of it, because we're one of a few commercial districts, and they are going to come to a dead stop here. I've seen in other communities where they've put repair they're built for industrial repair stations for pumps.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just, Melissa, as we think about it, we should identify a spot where we could put something like that. I really do want to take
that's
advantage
cool.
of this opportunity to drive as many people to stop in Northfield as possible. Wayfinding signs are great, but if all the bikers know, hey, I can fix my bike, there's free stuff there. The word's going to get around.
That would be amazing. And then we should put in some more bike racks,
Yeah,
Oh, for sure.
right?
For sure.
there's an
Yeah.
opportunity with some kind of plaza areas around the roundabout.
Yeah.
There's another thing too, the Skokie Valley Trail, playing off of what Trustee Fowler was talking about. It goes right by New Trier School.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of high school students getting on a bike and riding down the trail, I think it's going to be a great public asset.
It's really exciting. It's really, really exciting. We're so grateful that that's happening. It's really
So
wonderful.
you've got a sympathetic ear in sustainability and green. You wouldn't know, Ann. I've got a very large garden in my vegetable garden.
Oh.
So I can already compost. And
Nice.
I'm a kind of a green thumb guy, but I've already gone, and I'm a beekeeper. You probably wouldn't know that.
I think I did know that.
So that between composting and I've already gone all battery on all my yard implements,
Nice.
blowers and stuff. Yeah. Actually,
Nice.
the technology is there now.
Yes, it is.
is, yeah.
Yes,
It's
it is. And they're actually, I know the whole leaf blower thing is a sore subject with a lot of people, but there's a lot of services that just use electric equipment. I use a service that just uses electric equipment. So it's out there. You just have to be,
Yep.
willing to do it.
One more thing, sort of big thing, small thing. You mentioned community solar.
Yeah.
And I agree, I don't know what our sign up is, but it is a good program.
Yeah.
And I personally participate in it. And
Yeah.
I think that would have been a great opportunity for us to collaborate. And,
Agreed.
And when that came up, Go Green Northfield declined. And the language was that it was a distraction because Go Green didn't get what it wanted. And so I think that is an example maybe of a missed opportunity.
Agreed.
And Melissa, I don't know if it's possible to send out another solicitation to our community. Here's a program that is working. It does build tangible assets in Illinois, solar farms, maybe not in Northfield or New Trier Township, but real live solar. So you guys would have been a great marketing partner for us. And that was a disappointment, I think, at least, I was working with your group at the time. So,
Yeah, let me just respond to that really quickly
Yeah.
before you move on to the other thing. Was that the big thing or the small thing?
well, no,
Okay.
that was a big thing.
Oh, okay. Just so I know what's coming. I think that, agreed, I think it was a missed opportunity for a collaboration. I think part of, and I remember speaking to, I can't remember his name, but the community solar guy, and understanding that the marketing around that program makes it seem like you are directly reducing your carbon footprint at home, you personally. And the problem with community solar is you're not. It's a great opportunity to encourage green energy, and I think, we could have jumped on that for sure, and should have. But I think the marketing from the company really sends the message that you are directly reducing your carbon footprint, and you're just not. So, could we have done a better job there? For sure.
I mean, I'm thinking we could probably do our own marketing at this point. It's an existing program, and we could alert people to it and say, Go Green, and the Village of Northfield invites you to investigate this program. I really want to commend you on what you're doing with the young people. I wasn't aware of recycling until I got into college, and realized that we had all this beer bottles in our, apartment. We had to do something with them. And there was a bottle bill in Connecticut, you get cash money and then go buy more beer. So it was,
Yeah, it's great.
But I have heard that coffee grounds are really good for acid-loving plants like azaleas.
Yes.
So I don't know if you put that in your newsletter, but every coffee ground in my house, and there's a lot of them, end up
Goes
on
in the
azalea
garden.
bushes. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of coffee being drank in this town, and that's not the only acid-loving plant.
Yeah,
I'm not an
yeah.
expert on that, but I'm just saying.
No, thank you.
Okay.
I will write an
That's
article
my little
about that.
idea. Now I'm done.
I will also say that my husband Brent, who many of you know, years and years and years ago, went into Starbucks and said, I want your coffee grounds. And he would drop it was ridiculous, 2 plastic kids sand buckets. They were the big ones though. Drop them at Starbucks. They would fill them with coffee grounds, and he would go and pick them up and replace them with 2 empty ones and put them in our garden, and we had the most beautiful garden. And then one day the bucket broke, and Starbucks was like, no. So that was the end of that relationship. Should have gone to Home Depot and gotten the big Home Depot buckets. But anyway, I'm down with your coffee grounds. Anything else I can answer for anybody?
So you collaborate already with Mel, I know you do. Mel, we have a green page on our
Yes,
newsletter.
and Melissa is so generous with that page, always saying, what can I put in for you? How can I promote you? She's been such a wonderful partner. Just want to make sure everybody knows how wonderful Melissa is. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Anybody have any other questions? And thank you.
I know somebody told me, I think it was Holly that told me I had 20 minutes, and that got blown away a while
Yeah, you
ago.
did
So
great.
really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for updating it.
And now, lead service lines. Nice segue.
All right, next on the agenda, we have an update regarding our lead service line replacement assistance program. Steve, you're going to be, your department got,
Yes,
is going to be in charge.
Yes, it is, actually, absolutely.
I know this certainly involves Public Works a lot, but I know that permitting and all that is going to go through, obviously, community development. So maybe give us a little background on this.
You bet. So, absolutely, shout out to Public Works, did the 99% of the work on creating an inventory, which will identifying the homes in town with lead service lines. Gewalt Hamilton Associates helped them out with that and finalizing some of the documentation that we needed to do and to submit to IEPA recently, and again, we'll talk about that. But a very collaborative effort, and Melissa, as usual, very, very helpful. She helped, not really helped, she put together the webpage that we'll also talk about on this program. So with that, we're going to talk about the lead service line replacement program. Let me see if this works for me. Okay. I thought that we'd start the conversation with a real quick primer on the lead service lines. I think the board's pretty adept at this, but I wanted to really make sure people in the audience kind of understood what we were talking about. And so, first of all, what we're talking about is the water service lines that have a portion, or all of them are made out of lead, that run from the home out to the water main in the street. Now in Northfield, the homeowner is responsible for this entire system until it gets to the water main. So from your house and all your plumbing, all the way to the water main. And those components, which can be important when we're talking about a replacement, include a junction, a connection to the water main, this little elbow that a gooseneck connection to this line that then goes to what we call a buffalo box. That's the valve which the village can turn water on and off with. And then this continues on to the water meter inside the house. And then there's a little valve typically that you have in your basement to turn off the water on your own. So we have 91 properties in town that have either this whole system is all lead, or it has lead components to it. These 91 lead services have been identified through exhaustive search of public works records, a good deal of institutional knowledge by Bill Whipperford, our water guy, who's been doing this for decades for the village, and really probably primarily most recently updated when the village did their water main replacement program. Part of the work that was done was to actually inspect the service lines as they went through. So those...
The water main or the water meter?
The water meter. Did I say main? Yeah. Water meter. My apologies. So we developed this list of 91 homes that have some component of their water service as lead. And that was just to give us a universe of what we have out there. Now, in 2022, the state of Illinois passed what they call the Lead Service Line Replacement and Notification Act, which really was the impetus for villages throughout Illinois and to be required to develop a lead service line replacement program. Each village has to do this. Each water supplier, water company, so quote unquote, has to do it. Here, the village is the water supplier. In response to that, to this act, the village board in January of this year enacted or approved a replacement plan for Northfield for those 91 properties. And then as required by the act, that was submitted to the IEPA. That plan was finalized and submitted to the IEPA just last week. That act also requires the creation of the inventory I just talked about. We just finalized that inventory, honed it last week, and that was also submitted to the IEPA, again, as a requirement of the act. The last kind of big piece that the act requires is that we notify all homeowners who have lead service lines that we've identified that they do have them, and that the village has a program to replace them, and that we have to provide them the actual inventory with that notification, as well as we provided a map of the village with the properties noted on the map, and we provided them a description of the program. And we're going to go into that next. I'm sorry, this is the map that was distributed, and you can see the orange properties are those with lead service lines. And typically, these are going to be older homes that were built prior to 1987, when the state plumbing code told plumbers that could no longer install them. There's a couple outliers, some newer properties, newly subdivided properties, but most of these are some of the older homes that may not have been torn down or replaced, or had major renovations that might have required new water service to be installed. So the program that the village board approved in January really has three main components. One was, first of all, establishing the goal to replace 12.5% of these 91 homes, these lead service lines, annually for the next 8 years. So it's an 8-year kind of window for this program. And very importantly, the board committed to funding that annual goal, which it looks like in this coming fiscal year, 2024-25, is $100,000 being allocated towards this program. And we'll talk about where that is going to go. And we have a water and sewer fund, what we call a capital improvement plan, that goes out many years into the future, and $100,000 has been scheduled in that plan for the next 8 years. Now, that may fluctuate from year to year, depending upon that budget, but that's what's that's what's being forecast going out 8 years per year. And so that'll essentially pay for approximately 10 replacements per year. Just depends on the extent of each project, but that's kind of an estimate. Typically, these projects can run anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000, and so that would cover about 10 of those projects, or I should say 50% of those projects. And so the other main component of the plan was to develop a cost-sharing program in which the village would, using that $100,000 a year, reimburse up to 50% of the eligible costs for a homeowner to replace their lead service lines. This is, again, maxed out at what's funded on an annual basis. So there's a $10,000 maximum per project, 50% up to $10,000. And then this is allocated on a first-come, first-served basis until we exhaust the $100,000 in the given fiscal year. If somebody comes in with a project, the entire $100,000 has been allocated for that, or has been awarded that year, that homeowner's project would be given priority for reimbursement in the following fiscal year. So that was what was been required. This is what the village has done to this point. The program that's been developed. In terms of implementing the program, we talked about the notifications that have been made. Most importantly, the notices sent to the homeowners. We've set up the web page. If we can go to that, that'd be great. Okay. So the web page really provides people with some kind of an overarching summary of the program, of the issue. We talk about the reimbursement program, give them some, again, this is kind of 20,000-foot level type of information. And then if they're interested, or if they have gotten a notice, or somebody's interested in looking at their service to make sure that it's not lead, even if they weren't on the inventory, we have, if we could scroll down, we have a number of links to the program, including the detailed description of the program, the notifications that we sent out, The inventory map, it's actually much easier to see, look at it on the website than it is to read the little teeny maps that we're able to send out. And and then the applications for the program, the reimbursement program, are also can be found on the website. We also included our annual water quality report. We want to make sure people understand that the village's system is lead-free. It is the service lines, the private lines that connect the system, the water mains to the homes that are at issue at 91 of homes. So the village actually does on a regular basis, but provides an annual report, very detailed report on our water quality, which talks about all kinds of things that might be in the water. It gives people assurance that our water here in the village is safe to drink. And then finally, we provided a link providing a lot more information, general information about lead, the dangers of lead, helpful tips about how to prevent lead in your personal drinking water if you happen to have a line in the interim, and answers a lot of questions for people in general, and it educates them. So, and then finally, we provide a section with contact information for people that they can reach out to the Community Development Department if people have questions about the reimbursement program, and really kind of any technical system questions. We provide them a number for Public Works. We can be the best. We're the best people to answer those types of questions. So we got all those notifications sent out last Friday. This morning we had a handful of questions already. I think we've had at least one resident who's been asking us for months when we're going to hit the program up and operating. So she's ready to go. She's actually already got her estimates ready for us and has the documentation to us that she'll be the first one to participate. So that's really kind of an overview. There's tons of details. I didn't want to get too much into the weeds, but certainly can answer any questions that you have about the program.
Really excellent presentation, Steve. Thank you very much. I have actually a question for the audience. Anybody have a lead service line in the audience? Yep. So, did you...
Got our letter?
We got the letter.
Okay, do you mind approaching? I just got to ask you a question. Identify yourself for the record. That'd be great.
Ariel Hofer.
Terrific. Thanks for being here.
Yes.
And thanks for letting me put you on the spot.
Of course.
So you got the letter in the mail. So what was your reaction? Was it? Did you fully understand this? Were you caught by surprise?
So were there two letters sent? Because I initially remember we got a letter maybe like 6 months ago that in the area in general there was going to be some discussions on pipes and things like that.
Yeah.
So at that point, I called my mother because she's a realtor and is very familiar with this area and the lead pipe issues. So she was like, you know what, Glencoe's the same way, Winnebago's the same way. You probably do have them and you're going to have to deal with it, but it's not going to be something you're going to have to deal with, in the immediate future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then yesterday, I think we got the new notice. So my husband was just looking it over. I started to look it over and kind of see the basics of the program. But I haven't fully gone deep on it,
Yeah, just kind of...
There were earlier notifications sent out, again, state required notifications based on preliminary inventories. And so just to give people heads up.
Yeah, so I wasn't too surprised when I got it.
Right,
and I definitely was expecting something like that.
So what you did see, you felt was, we worked hard to make it understandable, approachable, that people understand that we're, as a village, really trying to help here. And I'm hoping that it came off on all of those.
Yes. And then there was lots of information in there and, answered a lot of questions.
Great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Anybody have any questions from the board?
I do. Steve, sorry, this is probably outside the scope of, it is outside the scope of the program, but I'm just curious if someone's doing this project, how long does it take? Like, how invasive is it of a project? I'm just curious.
It depends obviously on the scope of the project, but it's something a plumber can accomplish within a week or a few days. It just depends on some of the details. Probably mostly what's going on inside, how much, they have to go through inside. But yeah, I think what I've heard is it can easily be done in a couple of days.
Well, especially now with the directional boring, instead of having to dig
If
up
you need to,
some of
yeah,
your
yeah,
yard,
yeah, much less invasive.
holes and
Just, yeah. It's a little bit more, but it's a great approach. And actually, in a lot of the information we send out, there's some, particularly when people apply, there's another level of information we'll give them about methods, and directional boring is something we mentioned in that.
I know there are communities, neighbors that have a much more serious problem than we do. At 91, this is pretty manageable, but
Arlington Heights, 40,000.
right, Glencoe's got a serious issue. I know Evanston's got a serious issue. Well, what you're going to find, I think, is that directionally boring, more businesses, our plumbers are getting the equipment and getting into that. And I think as a result, there's going to be some competition as these things are being replaced and prices are going to go down. And availability. Right now, there's, maybe a couple dozen operators in the area. There'll be more. More of these guys are going to be investing in the equipment.
And just one more, just kind of factual question. And first of all, this is an excellent program. I'm really proud of Northfield and Steve, your group, and what's going on. This is something to be very proud of. The research says 91 homes, and the letter says 80 homes. And I'm just curious, the difference is...
Yeah, I think we missed that in the letter, honestly. It should be 91 homes,
Okay.
or 91 homes on the
I thought maybe we were already, 10% done, so, okay. So it's 91.
There was a lot of cross-checking about the various records, and that's where we ultimately arrived at 91. Now, a number of those, in the inventory in general, are designated as unknown because there may have been conflicts with one record versus another. But IPA requires us to include them in the inventory. Just this morning, I had somebody who was marked as an unknown, called, didn't think they had one. Bill ran out there this morning and verified that they did. So, yeah, so there's a little flux in that, but that, I guess the flux is, we designated some as unknown, so.
Thanks.
Carol, I noticed you had a look on your face talking about directional boring.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great, but I have another question.
Carol, can you keep on approaching?
Carol. So we can all hear.
You did, in fact, either send us a letter or it was in the newsletter maybe 5-6 months ago about the lead and needing to be replaced. Because I'm pretty sure, my house is quite old. At that time, because I called afterwards, and I spoke with someone at the village, truthfully, I don't know who, and they said that my house was okay. So, but now when I'm hearing, maybe I misunderstood what you said as far as more evaluation from the time you originally posted something to us.
What's your address, Carol?
811 Hap.
811 Hap? Okay. We'll call you tomorrow morning. And
Okay.
Just make sure we're on the same page.
Okay, and just, it's fine to leave a message, but yeah, and I guess the other thing, with all that we know about the danger of lead, Jesus, I think it's wonderful that the village is providing 50% for many people. But Jesus, the danger of lead, I would think that anybody who would know about this, if they could afford it, that they would go ahead and want to do it, And I'm curious if that's been your experience with people when they find out, hey, this is what you have.
Well, we're just going to find that out.
Okay, because it's only been confirmed.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also,
Thank you.
And I want to shout out to the board. The board decided to fund up to $10,000. That's about twice as much as many others are not everybody, but there are a lot of villages that are only doing up to $5,000.
Okay.
Per
Thank you,
project,
guys.
so.
Thank you very much. That's a really important thing. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Pam, do you have a comment?
I have a question, Steve. You mentioned homes. Are they just single-family homes? And I'm specifically speaking of the condo building right down the street where my mother lives at 308 Hap Road. Have you looked into condo building?
My understanding from Public Works is that the inventory took into account any type of residential building. Now, newer, since
you
the
said
80s.
1989,
Well,
and I thought
87 was when there was a there was legislation which prohibited plumbers from using it. But before that, people were well aware of lead, the dangers of lead, and so that was getting phased out in the market anyway. So if it's a residence, then it should be, it would be on that inventory if they had them. So Public Works is telling me that this is very complete for residential. Okay, and then
So condo buildings are in that
condo
category?
buildings, right.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Any other questions for Steve?
The initial inventory was done when the water meter replacement program was completed, correct? So you'll be able to tell right away if the lead service is coming in just because it comes through the wall and you can see it, right?
They had a list going before that, you know, back years and years, Bill tells me. That was the big heavy lift of, and a more comprehensive, I think they did 85% of the homes during that water meter replacement program. And then Bill went back finally, again, kind of the last step, just cross-checking his records. For every B-box out there, Bill would refer to as a card, if you can believe it or not, back in Public Works. So he cross-referenced all of that, so.
So that's when we'll double check and confirm.
So,
basically.
but the water meter replacement program really was the most recent, really comprehensive surveying, quote unquote, inspection of the lines that are out there.
Thank you.
I just want to give a huge shout out to Steve. He really took this ball in the end of the fourth quarter, and he, I don't know the sports metaphor, he drove it home. So he did great. Home run.
No. Thank you to your department for handling all this, Steve. We very much appreciate it in this presentation. It's excellent.
You bet.
Any other business from the board?
I see Beverly Smith here. Beverly sent a note to the V group about caucus meetings and mentioned that you have one coming up in late April, and you asked the board if we would consider working among ourselves to pick 2 people per meeting to come to your meetings. And I think that's a worthy question. And I'm wondering if we could use a few minutes now to talk about the concept, and then in an ideal world, find 2 board members to come to your next meeting. Is that, President Lundquist, something we can talk about?
Sure. So what the gist of the email was that we have a Open Meetings Act requirement that we can't have more than 2 trustees and be talking about village or the president and talking about village business. And Beverly sent a nice note to us all and talked about that this would be something that the caucus would enjoy, and that is having a visit from trustees. And so I don't have my calendar in front of me, and I didn't check. Actually, I think I have a conflict with the 29th, but
So 30th.
I'd say 30th. Okay, I think I'm still out of town, but it's what day of the week is that? Tuesday. Okay. But Barnaby, if you want to pursue that, that's fine. If you want to settle this right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just figured, I'm curious, the board, if they have thoughts on it. I think it's a good idea, reasonable. You have roughly 4 meetings a year, so all of us could come to at least 1, maybe 2. What would be helpful is to know in advance maybe when some of your meetings are. I don't know if you have a schedule for the year, but I guess I'm asking other trustees 2 questions. What do you think of the idea of 2 of us going and rotating? And can we select 2 for your meeting on the 30th? I will unfortunately be out of town. I would love to be there personally, but I can't. But
Matt and I had an opportunity to speak last fall to the caucus. I think it was, it was fine. The only thing I would suggest, Beverly, in doing so is if you have topics you want to discuss, to share them before we show up. Matt and I had no idea that we were to speak at that meeting. We thought we were there to kind of observe, and we was more put on the hot seat. So just out of respect, if you can, share the thoughts, we're the head of the, what the caucus is thinking. I think that helps the trustees a little bit to be prepared.
I think it's
But
a great
I
point.
think it's a good idea.
Yep. So Beverly, I'm going to, actually, do you mind approaching Beverly? Thank you.
Actually, we'll be discussing the survey, which you all have. So, and I've also invited the chief, because the #1 concern of the residents was safety.
Okay.
So Chief will be there, but we would love to have 2 trustees to discuss.
I'm happy to attend. I know we've got some people out of town. I'm happy to join.
And I haven't been to one this year, just because I didn't want more than 2 there, so I'm happy to join Trustee Mendrick as well.
There you go.
That would be great.
Great.
Thank you.
And actually, I don't think you should worry about any topic that might come up, because I think the type of things we would ask, you probably have more expertise than the caucus. So.
But I think
I can't.
Trustee Fowler's point of if there is something, obviously you're going to talk about public safety, Chief is going to be the foremost authority on that. But if we're talking about the budget, then one of the trustees can bring a budget book and actually can have material in front and they can share and be accurate rather than.
We'll be focusing on the survey, so that would be
Okay, good.
helpful.
Great.
And
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you.
Beverly, I hope at some point you'll invite our new village manager to one of your meetings.
I did, and he said he would like to come to our June meeting because it's his first week.
Right. Right.
I actually did.
Good.
So.
Great. Thank you. Anything else? Can a motion second to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. We will reconvene in 17 minutes.